And we'll just begin.
Sounds
So,
great.
Ani bonjour, Scott. Good to have you here on Ancestral Ascensions. And I wanted to have you on here because I heard your story there just briefly at that conference we were at, and I thought, what a great story to share. So, if you want to introduce who you are and where you're from and what your business is, that would be awesome.
All right. So Anin Scott Dishnakaz, Chimnasing and Donjaba. So I live in Innisfil and I'm from Beausoleil First Nation and I do a lot of fun fitness stuff. So I do fitness classes, reflexology, personal training, a whole bunch of different things that has to do with wellness. And basically it was all a result of things that I fixed with myself and I wanted to help other people get better. So whether it's fitness coaching, group fitness, personal training, any of the healing modalities I have, they're all things that helped me. So that's basically me in a nutshell.
Okay, so maybe if you want to just let me know how life was growing up and what kind of brought you to what you're doing today.
All right. So growing up, I guess I could say like I was always the heavy kids. So I, as far as I can remember, say 3 or 4, whenever people start making memories, I was always the big one, and I kind of had enough of being that one person. So, like I said, very long story short, uh, about adultish life or about at my adult age, I lost a lot of weight. Then I ended up gaining it all back. Then I lost it all again. Then got into addiction issues. And throughout from I'm going to say about my mid 20s till about now, I'm 35 now. It's been I have 6 years sobriety under my belt now,
Nice.
and I live every day just helping people get through what's has troubled me in the past, whether that just has to do with having a healthy mental attitude, uh, waking up in the morning, just looking in the mirror and saying like, I'm happy with who I am, and I can always better myself to be, a better version of myself.
Nice. So what was kind of the catalyst for you to really stick to it for about 6 years now?
The main catalyst, I guess, I've been sober. I had been sober once, and I did my whole weight loss journey, got healthier, and I fell hard. I fell harder than I had ever before. And I knew at that point I wasn't just trying to get better. And when I say sober, I mean I don't just mean that in terms of alcohol and substances. I just mean having like a positive mindset. So I guess I knew what it was like to be on that good path, and I knew what it was like to get away from all those things. And I've always said there's you're either quitting something, and these were the two big catalysts, was quitting something, and that led me into opening my mind to doing new things. So taking out the bad, putting in the good. So those were the two big things. Is I worked on getting rid of the addictions, and then automatically once those were gone, I wanted and I knew what it felt like to be healthy and into fitness and just having a general well-being lifestyle.
Nice. I know you had said, and this is kind of what caught my eye, is that you sort of went about looking for your own ways to reprogram your brain. And so, can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because I think that also led you to another modality for wellness as well.
Okay. So I'd probably say with hypnosis, that was somewhat of something that I do as well. So I ended up taking a course. And I always say you can take any course you want until you actually do something and do it for yourself. So I started doing, and I'm calling this by the book hypnosis, but I found out I was kind of doing it on my own in an odd sense. So I was doing things such as writing down my feelings, telling myself a game plan on what I can do. And I sometimes I do that sitting in the forest, and I'll give you an example. My name's Scott. And this is me way back. I'm struggling with weight issues and addiction issues, and I'm not feeling great and I would really like to improve myself. So I would sit and record that, watch it back, and I think something really powerful happens when you can watch yourself. We can talk day to day. We live so many things in our minds, and until we say it out loud, and especially when we watch ourselves, that's where I think the magic happens. So that kind of led me to that, and that's the whole guided. I kind of put guided meditation and hypnosis together in its own form.
Mhm.
So in a sense, it was something I was doing anyways, but I didn't call it guided meditation, goal setting, or hypnosis. I just called it what I use to acknowledge how I feel, and then maybe in a more conscious mind create the steps to feel better, and once again record those, watch those, and listen to it over and over again. And I feel like that really helped, set out a game plan and a path to move forward. And I try and encourage other people to do that as well. Just say your feelings out loud, watch yourself saying those feelings, and then somewhere in there it just clicks better than something that goes in our head decade after decade, that I should.
Nice. Decade after decade, eh? So did you record all this? Like, is this online somewhere, or like could
So
people have a look at what your journey was like, or
absolutely. So I actually do have a YouTube channel that was, and this goes back to, it wasn't necessarily the guided meditation hypnosis, but I recorded my early sobriety days and before I got sober. So I guess I could say branded that
Mhm.
as Spirit Fit Vices or Needing Sobriety, and those videos are on YouTube right now. And that just goes through the journey of, I think I was probably sitting at 275, 280 pounds, and I'm a pretty short guy, struggling with addiction and trying to get off. And I recorded myself with my whole shakiness and not where I really wanted to be, but I did record that, and I go back to that every now and then when I'm having self doubts on what am I capable of. And I always tell people as well, think of things that you did when you succeeded in the past, and looking forward, how can you use that same energy, that same mentality to be the person that you want to be? So, but yeah, I do have it all on my YouTube channel of, I think it's called Spirit Fit Vices. Haven't made a video in a couple of years, but that was just, it was really a healing journey for me, and just kind of the things I was going through at the times.
so how did that name Spirit Fit come to you?
That's a good question. So there's a little bit to it. So I made the logo, and that was originally not a dumbbell. It was an X with a bottle cap of booze and some feathers. So that was learning my First Nations identity. And I found that being spirit fit was a lot better than your average gym mentality. So a lot of people think, working out is all about just get out, pump some weights, you'll feel better. That kind of honestly is true to an extent, but I think you have to work on your mental ability. You have to really be fit in your spirit, fit in yourself, and know what your goals are. So if you just blindly go work out, probably nothing bad is going to happen. But if you work out with intention, you work out with true feelings, and knowing what you want out of your workout, and not even workout, but just eating better, improving your life, being more mindful of the mind, body, spirit, soul. That's really where it came from. It wasn't just about the body, because I know firsthand that, and from seeing other people, you train everything's going to get better. So just, it's
Absolutely.
have a fit spirit, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's an excellent name, I think, because when we think of that spirit or that medicine wheel, the spirit always comes first, or we allow ourselves to be led by spirit. And I think that like if we are living in that really healthy, holistic way, spirit absolutely comes first. And so with those intentions, like you said, having that intention in your mind of what healthy look like to you, then you were able to have a vision for yourself, which is that spirit quadrant in the medicine wheel, so that you have something to work towards. So that's excellent, and I'm so glad you explained it that way, because this is what I think, our ancestors, that's the way that they lived, and I think that this is what our ancestors are wanting for us. So I mean, to hear this story, like, it just really moved me, and I thought it was great to hear a young man, a young First Nations man, dealing with all of the intergenerational trauma that we have dealt with, and not having the opportunity to really learn about our culture as we grew up. Of course, like, that's not something that we all did, and I shouldn't just assume, I guess. How was it in terms of culture in your early years?
I actually had no idea anything about culture. So I'm gonna say it was 7-ish years ago, right on that borderline of getting sober. I had never been to my First Nations community, which is Christian Island, and I actually ended up taking my status card, Googling what this actually meant,
Mhm.
driving out there, catching the boat, and figuring it out. And I feel like a lot of people, especially growing up in Toronto, may have been in the same boat, but it took maybe a year or 2 years, and I found a whole community of people, of distant cousins, distant relatives that I had no idea existed. So yeah, the cultural aspect of my journey, and that also plays into a factor, is learning what my community was, if, after having no clue, and meeting so many interesting people, and that's a big part of the journey as well. So I started from nothing when it came to culture. It went started with taking a boat across and just talking to anyone that would talk to me.
Nice. Good for you.
People were
That
nice, by
takes
the way.
that takes so much, courage to do that, but it is following your truth. And when we think of those seven grandfather teachings, like, that is our truth. And if we are brave enough to follow what that truth is, that allows us to find what our gifts are. And I think that you've made really good headway on what those gifts are. And by bringing the spirit into the fitness, I think it's excellent. So one more question, I guess, is, if you could give a piece of advice to people who you think would help them on their journey, what would that be?
I'd say probably be true to yourself. And that almost sounds like such a generic thing to say. Some of the ways that you can be true to yourself is when you wake up in the morning or before you go to bed, just think, am I on the right path? And just sitting in a dark room, sitting by yourself in the middle of the bush, and just give yourself 20 minutes just to think through that question. Am I on the right path? And I think sometimes we use words too much, and we don't really have meaning behind those words. But if you're on the right path and you're true to yourself, if you're on that right path or not, and what you want out of life, I think you'll set yourself up for success. If you don't set yourself up for success, if you just say, okay, I'm living day to day life, I'm just living, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think if you're true to yourself and true to what you can be, I think we all have unlimited potential. We And nowhere in my life beyond the past 5 years did I ever think I'd be comfortable going in front of sometimes hundreds of people and doing fitness classes or motivational speaking. And you never know what you're capable of until you start to kind of be true to yourself, live outside the box, and challenge yourself.
Good job. Like, it's so amazing, and you're quite busy, eh? Like, you're going to First Nations communities. Tell me
Yes.
a little bit more about that. Like, I think that those kinds of things are really good to share.
So like right now on an average week, I'm going to 3 communities. So Christian Island, so that's my home community. I've been doing programs with them steady since 2019. So I've always kind of had a place there. So that's 2 days a week. So I get on the boat and take that and do fitness and reflexology and guided meditation. Then today, which is Wednesday, I go up to Nawash and I do two 45-minute like group fitness classes, the normal fitness classes that I would do with people, and that's make it fun, enjoyable, and not intimidating because there's too much intimidation within health and fitness. And the other days, I go up to Georgina Island, which is, I'm gonna say close to my house, but it's a long drive. It's in the middle of the lake that I'm on, so you actually have to go all the way around it. So I actually got hired there. They found me at a conference and they offered me a pretty unique opportunity to go and work there. And I thought, okay, you know what? Being self-employed full time for so long, I thought I would actually take something that's guaranteed, and there's a lot of growth being, self-employed. There's things I missed out on, which was like, it sounds silly, but Christmas parties, group things. So I thought, well, why not take on that for a little bit? It's not a permanent thing, and just see where that takes me, and learning a new community, a new learning culture, learning there's so much things there. But yeah, so I started working there as well. So I'm balancing three places right now, and there's not a day that I'm upset on what I have to do, because it's the most rewarding career choice, in my opinion, that you can do, is meet our people and do something that's really well needed in our communities.
Absolutely. And I also want to put out there too that like this type of work that you're doing, and it's very similar to the type of work I'm doing with more, I
Mhm.
guess, me being a therapist with the mental aspects of things, helping people, but I absolutely come from spirit first. So looking at, what people's visions are of themselves and what passion that they do have. And it sounds like you found that passion. But there's so much work to be done out there that really, for whoever wants to do this work, there's lots of work to be done out there. So I think that if people can really, start on their journey, really, like you said, really have a listen to yourself. And how do you know? Is it a feeling? Is it thoughts that you get? There's all different kinds of ways for you to know when you are on your right path. And whatever path that is, usually I know, we learned a vision wheel when I was in university, and that and it was all done in our culture. So it was really nice to be able to receive those teachings. Um, but to have that vision in your mind and to be able to start to work on your emotional piece, like you said, that eventually it does become something that you're living. So here you are making a living at doing what you are passionate about, that vision that you had for yourself. And that's something that we are all here to do. I think part of the seven grandfather teachings, the humility, is to find our gifts and share them with the world. And that's what, from my understanding, from what I was taught by my teachers, is that was what that humility means in those seven grandfather teachings, is finding your gifts and sharing them with the world. So I think that you're on a great trajectory in that sense for sure. And then I also want to, so if you want to stick around, I am going to pull at least one card anyways. It's these ancestors and angel cards that
Oh,
that
nice.
I have. They're by Kyle Gray, and they're quite nice. And so I thought, well, let's just do a little bit of a message maybe for everyone and see how that relates or pertains to us, because I do feel that the ancestors are here with us, and let's see what kind of message they might have for us. I'm an excellent
I love
shuffler, I guess, today.
I love those angel cards, by the way.
Yeah, they're just it's just nice to get a little message, for everyone. So let's see what we have here. We have elder, move beyond ancestral patterns. So, like I always say, as much as we have carried on those patterns of intergenerational trauma, that we absolutely also carry all of the strengths that our ancestors have. And the nice thing is that I think the Indian policy that they had for us was that there would be no more First Nations people left by this time. And with all of the colonization and oppression and really ultimately a genocide on our people. here on Turtle Island, that I think that, when it says move beyond our ancestral patterns, like really have a look at that. And they say that we're in the time of unity, the rainbow warriors. With that being said, I do feel it's like all colors of man coming together to to be a part of, and to actually hopefully save ourselves here on Mother Earth, because she absolutely does not need us to be here. We need her for us to be here. So that's my a little piece of that's my interpretation of elders. And the nice thing is by making the changes that you're talking about, we will get to be elders.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there has been a lot of sickness amongst our people because of the things that have happened to us in terms of residential schools, um, to just name one thing, not to mention how the systems really impact who we are. Still we have 1 in 3 of our children that are in care. We have, 1 in 3 of our people who are in prisons. There are prisons out west that are fully 100% full of our people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that when we only make up 4% of the Canadian, or the population on Turtle Island, which covers all of North America and down further south, that we do need to find what our ancestors are asking us to do. And I think that your ancestors spoke to you very, very clear. And it was a story that definitely did touch my heart. So I just want to say, Chimigwech, thank you so much, Scott, for coming on today, and for sharing your
No
story. I
problem.
think it's very, very inspiring. And, absolutely keep up the great work.
Oh, Miigwech, thank you for having me. Much
Yeah, for sure.
appreciated.
Yeah. Okay, well, take care, and bon appetit.